beyond recovery. Live your best life, free from addiction. Join alcohol-free host Matt Gardner and his weekly guests to talk about their hero's journey from the darkness of addiction into the light of recovery. Living beyond recovery is to rediscover who you truly are. Let's start the show. Let's start the show indeed. Jay, how are you today?
Good, yourself?
Really good. Happy to have you on. Lots to talk about. I want to get into Empower2Recover, hype recovery coaching that you got going on. You got lots going on. So, and you're a fellow Canadian, so really cool to have you on.
Yeah.
From the other side of the land here. You're out in Ontario. I'm in Edmonton, Alberta. But yeah, dude, really happy to connect with you today. How's everything going?
Yeah, good. I'm glad we connected too. And it's exciting that you're also Canadian, so that kind of gives us a double whammy here on the on everything. But yeah, we have we have a lot going on. I've been at this since February 11th, 2023 will be 15 years of continuous long-term recovery. I like to call it. I don't say that I'm an addict or an alcoholic because I'm not an addict or an alcoholic today. So I find if I use for my recovery, if I use those kind of language, it keeps me in the past, which is preoccupied about spent time. And I don't spend time preoccupying myself with what happened in the past. What happened in the past made me who I am today. So, because we're all recovering from something. There's a pool of things that I'm recovering from. It just isn't drugs. It just isn't alcohol. It's my thinking. I got a thinking problem. I got a thoughts problem. I got a patterns problem. I got a series of events problem. I got a triggers problem, and I got a boundaries problem. Which if I don't take care of all those things, which is our journey to 30 at Hype Recovery Coaching, I find myself running from myself. So February 11th, 2008 is when I entered this. I entered recovery. And to me, like, rock bottom is rock bottom. I think there might be different degrees of rock bottom, but rock bottom is just that. I hit the bottom of the elevator. I had nothing left in the tank. I didn't know who I was. I had tried committing suicide back-to-back times in 2005. Nothing was it wasn't getting better. There was no such thing as getting better. It was living to use and using to live, like they say, to just mask up everything that was ever who I was. And I didn't even know who I was. So, when I went the last time in January 7th, 2008, I got busted for the fifth time in possession of the purpose of trafficking cocaine. And January 7th was the last time I had a drink, 2008. It took me up until the 30-something days that I waited to get into treatment at the Anchorage Boost Center in Ottawa, Ontario, which the Salvation Army will always hold a close place to me. It was interesting you said you were in Edmonton because just before the pandemic, I did a Hope in the City in Edmonton and spoke in Edmonton. And
Rad.
So the Salvation Army is a massive contribution to the person I am today because they allowed me to figure out and gave me the permission to continuously still mess up, but be able to own up to who I was inside of their 4-month program, which was really interesting because in Ottawa on George Street, when I go, because I'd never gone to treatment before, so I didn't know what treatment was. I thought you just pile yourself up with some Oxycontins and you sleep for 4 months and then you get out and you go back to. I mean, it's really like going to jail, right? So to me, I think clean and sober is a felony because if I go to jail, I stay clean and sober. But why is it when I get out of jail, I find myself at the drug dealer and the liquor store? I was just clean and sober for a period of time in jail. Why am I going to the drug dealer or going to get booze? The day I get out of jail, I put my clothes on and I'm skipping out the door saying I'm going to get drugs and I'm heading to the liquor store. And I just went for a period of time of being clean and sober. Why is that?
Yeah.
Because I didn't do a whole body change. That's why I didn't do this whole body change inside of, and I'm not diminishing being clean and sober if that's what you are, but really that's all I was. right? There was no work, there was no investigating, there was no getting to know myself, there was no admitting things, there was nothing. It was just I stopped and that was it. So if I just stop and don't do any of the work that is supposed to come from what I do in order to get to know myself, because that's what this is all about, it's about getting to know who Jay is. I'm not going to be able to do that, because I'm going to go find excuses, and any excuse will take me to anywhere because it's an excuse. So I will go do what I do, right? So that's why you'll never hear me say I'm clean and sober. That's why you'll never hear me say I'm an addict or an alcoholic. You'll always hear me say I'm in long-term recovery, recovering from a vast majority of things. And in 2008, that's when I entered in and started to get to know who I was. I had, I worked the program in AA and NA, and for the first year, and nothing against the 12 steps. The 12 steps are a wonderful tool for people. They do get you from the ground to your knees to standing up, but I didn't see a life beyond recovery. I wanted a life beyond recovery, meaning that I didn't want to be stressed out or anxious if I didn't make it to my home group. I didn't want to be stressed out or anxious if I missed the meeting. I didn't want to be stressed out or anxious if I didn't call my sponsor. I didn't want to be stressed out or anxious if I was behind on this. I didn't want to be like, to me, I wanted a life beyond recovery, meaning that I have recovery, I have passed this stage, and now I have life. Life won't change. Life keeps coming at you. Shit hits you, walls fall down, fuck, everything happens, right? That's life. But I wanted to get myself to a point where I believed in myself, where I knew I could do this. And I honestly, coming out of year one, I did the 12 steps every single month, one a month with my sponsor. And I said to myself, man, I don't even know Jay. Who's Jay? And I mean, I only have 3 letters in my name. How the hell don't I know Jay? And I don't even know the A or the Y yet. And then so I went to NA. Funny enough, the 12 steps are the same. Powerlessness. So I went there, and I came out of year 2, and I went, holy fuck, I still don't know myself. This is 24 months. How come I don't know myself? So I went and put interest in myself, meaning that I went and invested money. It was very, it was past foreign to me to pay somebody to teach me something. I didn't even understand that concept. You want me to give you money, and you're going to teach me what you know, and I'm going to be better. That's what you're telling me. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand what a coach was. I didn't understand. And that's where I went. I went to a relationship coach. And it wasn't about relationships with women. It was about a relationship with me. I needed a relationship with me. I couldn't, I'd be walking down the Ottawa Valley and I'd miss all the wind, the trees, the leaves, the sun, the air, the smell, the everything, because I was so consumed inside my mind. So here I sit with a couple of years into recovery, yet I am still missing life. I found that unacceptable for myself, because I had missed a bunch of life. Happy I went through what I went through to get where I am, but I wanted a life, right? So she told me that it was going to be $1,000 and for 30 days, and I'm going to teach you all about a relationship with yourself. And I was like, $1,000? And there's like that 30 seconds of self-doubt that goes through your mind going, yeah, right, I'm not going to give you the money. Then I was like, wait a sec. You spent 10 million on sniffing, snorting, hooking, all this other shit, and you will not give this person $1,000 that might be able to help you get a better life, help you get a life beyond recovery? Really, you're not going to do that? I said, no problem. Here you go. And what I learned from putting interest and an investment into myself, I was a sponge. I asked so many questions. I didn't want to leave the meetings. I contacted, because now I spent money. I now have put money into myself to learn myself. That was a valuable piece for me to understand who I was and where I was going and what I wanted to do. So at that point in my life, it was very crucial for me to find that for the simple fact that like I said, I couldn't see a life beyond recovery inside of where I was going. Like I said, I support those places. 12 steps are great. For myself, I just didn't see a life beyond recovery. And so I did that for a couple months. And I came out of there going, holy shit, how come I didn't learn this stuff over there? How come I didn't learn about my thinking? And how about I didn't learn about my thoughts? And how come I didn't learn about my patterns or my triggers or my series of events or my boundaries? And I was like, so like, holy cow, I think I just got the key. Like I just got the key to identifying the lock that's been locking me down to this amazing life that I could have, because I was in such a box. I was in such a box of I can't go here, I can't go there, I won't be able to do this, I can't go to functions, I can't go to weddings, I won't be able to go here. How about concerts? I can't go there, I can't go down and back. I was just, all these can'ts were in my mind because that's what was coming at me. You can't do this, can't do that. Don't go there because this is going to happen to you. And if you go here, you're going to relapse. And blah, blah, blah. I said, holy shit, what do I have? And all of a sudden, when I came out of there, I went, oh, wait a second here. If I haven't had a drink or used a drug in the last 2 years, and I say that I'm an alcoholic and an addict, I'm only sharing about all the war stories and everything that bad ever happened to me. No, not that that's not a good thing to do in order to help other people out, but I really found myself inside of that misery of myself, where I was like repeating the same story over and over and over and over again, but not really getting a solution, but yet staying in the problem, which was the past, preoccupied with spent time. And I was like, is this why I haven't got to know who Jay is? Because that was the letting go point of, I didn't want to let go of Jay, because if I let go of Jay, who is Jay? And so I started working those 6 things in 2011. I hadn't called it hype yet. I didn't even have a name. I was calling it help my personal effort. I was like, hey, wait a second. I know thinking, thoughts, patterns, triggers, series of events, and I just got to put this stuff together. And if I can identify when my thinking goes wrong, my thoughts go, because if you think about those 6 things, right? The thinking, thoughts, patterns, and then the trigger, series of events, boundaries. The last 3 are the gasoline that fuel the first 3. So if these 3 are out of place, these 3 are wonked, I'm gone, right? And so I started doing this self-made program through that relationship coach, which I took all that information from her and kind of just embedded it into what I had learned from the 12 steps. Whatever I learned from the 12 steps, I kept and then embedded this new stuff, and then started creating this hype recovery coaching in 2011. And then all of a sudden my life and my life just decided to, I had a fiance. I don't know if you want to break it up and ask some questions, because there's a lot of information that I just dropped there.
Yeah, dude, that's actually a great spot to do it right before you, because you're about, and we'll remember that we're talking about the relationship you're about to get into. So yeah, it's great stuff. I love your approach as far as, not to spend too much time on the past. You have that really cool acronym for it. And just the fundamentals of what have worked for you, and now you're going back and teaching it to the folks that are working with you. So very, very cool. What was it about you that made you identify with the fact that it's a thoughts problem, right? With you, like, yeah, I get you understood that, okay, I'm just clean and sober, but that's, and nothing against people that are, like you say, with caveat with that, but the fact that you were just clean and sober, but yeah, there's all these other problems that you have not been addressed. What was it inside you that turned you to that? Like, was it just like, what kind of voice was in your head going, hey, there's more, as opposed to just going, F it, let's just go back to the drugging and drinking?
Well, a lot of it had to do with, I saw a lot of stuck and stagnant people. So a lot of people that were stuck and stagnant and had a period of time, but they didn't seem overly happy to me. Like, they seemed like it was really a struggle for life, which most of us go through. it was a real struggle just to do something, right? And I was like, there's got to be more. Like there has to be more, right? And when I reached out to the relationship coach, like I said, that was the first time besides the drug use, drinking, and all that, that was the first time in my life I ever invested money to get somebody else to teach me what they have.
Yeah, huge.
Totally different than a sponsor, totally different than anything I've ever had in my. That was the investment that I put into myself and the interest, right? Because I'd go to meetings and be in the back on fucking Facebook, not even hearing a goddamn thing, right? Or I'd be outside halfway through the meeting going, I went to a meeting. No, I didn't. I was outside, right? So for me, I was like, oh, I don't. So when I started really sponging and really like interested and really hanging on the words and really understanding that how I get a relationship with myself, with my thinking thoughts and patterns, like I need to break patterns. I have a patterns problem. The reason that I do what I do is because I have patterns. I don't want to go away from the patterns because I am scared and I have fear. I have false evidence appearing real. That's what fear stands for. False evidence appearing real. So if I have false evidence appearing real, that means I have fake stories built up in my side. Already have the stories. I've already have the stories. I've already planned it out. I know what's going to happen. How come it never happens that way? How come it never happens that way? How come something, right? So I had a oodle amount of fear just to try and get to know myself, which I was scared to get to know myself. So between those scared and fear, which is almost the same, there was no such thing as trying to get in. And when you're stuck inside a box, you don't really see what's outside of the box. So you're only in here. That's it. There's no air coming in, no new air coming in, no, it's just you're closed in.
Yeah.
The minute I decided to fucking bail out the back top end of that sucker, life took on a whole new meaning because now I had a 360. I could see all around me. I could hear all around me. I could smell all around me. I could taste all around me. I could see where I wanted to go. I could see who I wanted to be. I could see through different views and different opinions and observations and different recoveries that, man, this could be really fun in recovery. I could get a really good life in recovery. I could do this, right? And when I really think about it, I'm the only one that's still in long-term recovery from that batch of guys in 2008.
Wow.
And out of that batch of guys, 9 of them have committed suicide. So that tells you something in the avenue of the direction that I saw myself going. So, I got myself in a relationship. I had a fiance. Things kind of went sideways on that one. I had an opportunity to move to Fort McMurray, Alberta. My family was there. I started working at Syncrude. And through this period of time, I was doing these 6 things that I was starting to build as a program. And people would ask me and they'd say, well, what are you doing, Jay? I'd just say, I'm working on myself. I never wanted to tell anybody what I was doing until I did this for 365 days. And I'm the guinea pig. And if I change and things start changing inside of me, I'll start sharing about what I'm doing. My world's not about destroying people. My world's about getting the best out of people and moving them forward, not keeping them stuck and stagnant. So I worked at Syncrude for about 6 months. And then I took a transfer to Keano College, and the catering company there was Impressions Catering. And we started doing some high-end things I became a celebrity chef. So I started doing things for, like, we had William Shatner come through and Wayne Gretzky and Mark Messier and Leonardo DiCaprio and Neil Young and Travis Tritt and all these things. And my motivational speaking and Fort McMurray was reaching out going, hey, do you know this guy? He talks about being, he's in long-term recovery and he's dealing with all these things. And have you heard his story? And all of a sudden the motivational speaking side of things started coming up. And I was like, that was at about year 5 and all these things were starting to come. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to share about what I'm doing. I went here, I invested this here I am today. What I figured out was these 6 things on top of another 6 things that are life skills, because I need to get the fundamentals underway, and then I need to know life skills. I don't know life skills, right? I mean, as a drug dealer for many years, don't know life skills, right? I don't understand any of that stuff, right? So I need to learn life skills on top of having a long-term recovery. I need to know life skills. What are life skills? Life skills are like laundry and paying the bills on time and responsibilities and all those things that come along with life skills, right? So I started sharing all this stuff, and then all of a sudden I started to like really start I started getting paid really good money to speak. And I was like, how is this like all happening? And I hadn't gone to the rooms. I haven't been to the room. I went to the rooms once to give a 1-year medallion to a friend of mine, but I don't go to the rooms, and I haven't been to the rooms. I just don't go. That's not my recovery. So for the longest time, I was kind of like doing it on my own through social media. So I was sharing my story just nonstop about what I was doing, but nobody really kind of understood what I was doing. You know, they're like, "Well, why aren't you going there? Like, why aren't you doing this?" And I was like, "Well, there's got to be more ways to recovery. There can't just be two ways or one way or this way. There has to be other options for people to get recovery and whatever they're looking for. Like, whatever you're looking for, there's got to be other ways to do this, right?" So, I was laying in bed one day, and I was thinking, need to think of a name, and I was like, boom, hype. I was like, help your personal effort. Whoa. I was like, that's pretty cool. I rarely find a name and an acronym in the name that's really cool. And I was like, yeah, I was helping my personal effort. Now I can go help your personal effort. Hype. Yeah, I can go hype you up. I can teach you this stuff. I can show you this stuff. I can tell you what I'm doing. I can build. And so that's what I started doing. And it was phenomenal because I had allowed myself to pay somebody to teach me something that I was very foreign to, but kept myself humble, knowing that I don't know everything. So I need to keep learning from other people in order to get the life that I have, because I'm no better than anybody. I have to stay that way for the rest of my life. I have to learn from other people in order to keep going. If I get stuck and stagnant, that means that I'm not learning from other people, and I'm tending to get back in my way, which my way never worked. So why would I even try and do it my way? Why would I wouldn't want to do it my way. And then just a whole bunch of stuff started opening up in Fort McMurray, from the celebrity chef side of things to just being a phenomenal chef, following that dream of being an executive chef and running my own kitchen and creating sexy food and telling a story with my food and taking the plate and making it the picture and making it my story about how I wanted it and telling a story through my food because I was chef recovery. And I like, I got goosebumps because dreams really do come true. So if people don't think that dreams don't come true, I'm sitting here telling you they do, because every single dream that I ever wanted to do, I've obtained up until today. Like, everything that I've wanted to do, I have done. I haven't done it in my time. It came when it was supposed to come, because I'm always right where I'm supposed to be. But yeah, Fort McMurray was an amazing time for me. It was an amazing time, and it really solidified the fact that I could be a motivational speaker, that I could be a keynote speaker, that I could be on the speaker unit sharing about recovery, being loud about it. And it opened up some massive, massive doors into the world that I have today.
When you got into speaking, how did that look initially? Like, was there a coach involved for you to kind of get you prepped on that? Have you always been comfortable speaking in front of crowds? What was the learning curve like for you to get into that motivational speaking side of things?
Well, I got asked to speak early in recovery. I was still in treatment. And they're like, "Hey, we're going to pay you $50. Go tell your story over here at this church." And I'm like, "You're going to pay me $50? What?" Right? I was like, "Holy shit, this is a business," because I'm a business oriented guy, right? I'm like, whoa, okay. So I go to the church, and I'm like waiting, nobody there. I'm like, what? Am I at the wrong place? Did they set like? Anyway, so instead of going into that negative thinking, I took the time in the church that day and shared my story to the church, meaning nobody. myself. And when I walked out of there, I went, you know what? Like, nobody showed up. You didn't beat yourself up. You took the opportunity because you had this opportunity in front of this empty church to speak. So I went back to the treatment center and said, hey, listen, nobody showed up there. Oh, yeah. We had the wrong day. Here's your $50. I was like, here's my $50. And that's kind of how it started for me. I've never had anybody help. I never had any coach when it came to speaking. I did do a TEDx in Fort McMurray in 2015, which was really cool to do. Which I did a whole bunch of, like, I was behind the thing cutting the fruit, and every time the knife would hit we had a speaker, a microphone set up, so it was like, my life. And so that's online. But when it comes to coaching, or having somebody coach me on the speaking side of things, I really haven't had it. I've done it all on my own. And I just honed my craft more and more. It's really just the belief you have in yourself and the love you have for yourself and the aspiration you have for yourself, to go out and do it and know that you're already helping one person. So the one person you're helping is the one that you're looking at in the mirror. And if you can help one more person past the mirror, you've set out to do what you had to do. And most times we don't know how many people we're helping. I don't know, right? Like, I remember being at a food show in Toronto, and I saw this girl. She kept walking around and around. And I'm just like, weird. You kind of just catch these things, right? It's just like, you passed me like 7 times. Like, do I know you or something? Kind of thing, Anyway, she finally got enough courage and said, hey, listen, I want to talk to you. And I'm like, okay, I'm at a food show, but I always have the mental health thing on, right? I'm like, are you okay? She said, you don't know who I am. I've followed you online for the last 13 months. I want to show you my 1-year medallion. You helped me get this.
Wow.
And I was like, I was not expecting that. And at that point in my life, I went, man, you don't know who you're helping. So she said, I knew you were coming to this food show. I follow you, and I wanted to come show you this because you've been a huge inspiration to me to really get to know myself, and the way you talk and the way you deal with yourself, and the way you broke away from other programs and you didn't allow yourself to be caught up in the box, and you seem to have a free life. And I want that, and I wanted that. And it was important for me to come and show you this, as hard as this was to come tell you. And at that day, I realized that you don't know. You don't know who you're helping. You don't know who's hearing your story. You don't know who's watching. You don't know anything, right? So that's why I've always shared my story. And then I got the opportunity to leave Fort McMurray and come back to Kenora, Ontario, which was my home city here, which I hadn't been in 7 years. I met my ex, Julie, here, and we ended up having a beautiful baby by the name of Destiny. So I never thought I was going to be a dad. I became a dad later on in life. Like, Destiny turned 7 November 26th, so I became a dad at 35. And it's the most beautiful thing that's ever happened to me, is becoming a dad, and just seeing this little person just love me to death, and trust me, and look like me, and she goes around yelling recovery rocks, and she knows she knows all about what daddy went through and what daddy goes through, and she listens, and she shares her opinions on TikTok and stuff like that. And I think it's really important, that we're open and honest with our kids about mental health, addictions, alcoholism, all the above, right? And she's one of the she was a massive gift given to me, considering that she wasn't alive when she was born, and we almost lost Julie too. So to have both of them still is a miracle in itself. But that's why Destiny's name is Destiny, because I'm on a destiny. So that was the first amazing gift, and then I got to open up a restaurant here, and bring my food and my skills and my talents to my hometown, where most people thought I was a write-off. And then I went and opened up my own business called Freshwater Cuisine. In the meantime, sharing and motivationally speaking and branding myself as Chef Recovery, I decided to go from the kitchen to the processing side of the world and create value-added products from waste of fish. And unfortunately, we had to close through the pandemic. I lost that business, but I got to learn a whole bunch of stuff. From top business. We were one in five top businesses in all of Ontario for a leader in innovation. 20 under 40 for a business entrepreneur. The first ever rural Ontario on Entrepreneur of the Year. So I really got to live out that dream on the other side of the fence, not as a chef, but as a entrepreneur creating products from a processing side, because we created a thing called the walleye wings, which is the ventricle part of the walleye, which became a mainstream appetizer throughout restaurants in Canada and into the US. And we showed the world that there's a lot of waste out there and that we can turn products into it to create more revenue and more profits. And I got to do some really cool things with some really cool people throughout that business. But the pandemic came along, and I had to make a decision. But inside of that whole thing, I got to meet Ashley. So you talked about Canada's recovery couple and Ashley and I, and through that transition, I got to meet Ashley. Ashley just celebrated 3 years on September 9th.
Nice. Congrats.
And we're known as Canada's recovery couple. We have our own TV show on Shaw. That's the recovery couple, and where we share about our recovery and what we do and what we don't do and what we've learned and what we don't learn and what not to and what to do. And so it's been really, Ashley's really, I was at a point in my recovery when she came, because I was going through the separation with Julie, and then I lost my grandpa around the same time, who was my best friend. And Ashley came into my life at the right time. I'd been doing this program that I'd built for the better part of 10 years, and in 9 years. And in 2018, I came off of speaking at my 10-year anniversary in Ottawa. They booked the Shaw Center downtown, and we sold it out, and I shared my story down there as a keynote speaker. But I came off of that going, I don't think anybody got anything from my story, and I was just going through a lot of mental stuff. So when I came back home, I looked at Destiny, and I was like, I don't even love my daughter anymore. Right? I couldn't feel love. I was just so broken and hurt, and at 10 years, and done a lot of work on myself. And I made a conscious decision to go and hang myself. So I was 10 years into recovery, and I tried taking my life. And I think it's important to talk about this because a lot of us struggle with this. It's not about going back and picking the drug or the drink up for me, because I know that's a slow, painful death. I don't want that death, right? So for me, it's the other way, right? But luckily enough for me, it was the quietest day, and then out of nowhere, boom, the dam opened up. I was wondering what I was doing, and I was like, holy shit, what am I doing? And then I went and talked to my counselor that got me into treatment, and she said, Jay, you're having a hard time processing. You have a lot going on. You've just come through a lot. Like your plate, you're a successful guy. Your plate is massively full, and you might have forgotten to take care of you in all of this. So when Ashley came along, I was really like, kind of, the coals, there was a lot of water on the coals, so there was really not a lot of fire. And then I just started teaching Ashley all the hype stuff, right? She was really like becoming this sponge, and it was kind of like getting this energy going in me. And I'm like, holy God, I can start seeing stuff, right? Because I know the program works. I know it works because I've done it, and I see people do it. But I was just like, I was burnt out. I had burnt myself out. And Ashley helped relight the fire by catching on to what I was teaching right away, and which ignited the recovery couple and Canada's recovery couple, and then ignited launching hyper recovery coaching 1 year tomorrow, October 18th. Wow. So it's pretty cool that we're doing this today.
Very cool.
So October 18th is 1 year that hyper recovery coaching has been launched. We launched it on a mission to go at the world to bring down the barriers and stress and stigmas, to help people get help through peer-to-peer recovery coaches in an aspect through our journey to 30, which is our 6-week programs and sessions, and our journey to 90, which is our 12-week program and sessions, where you don't have to go to treatment. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. So we have a lot of people calling us that are single moms, single dads. Jay, what am I going to do? How can I go? I can't go. I have a kid. I can't leave my job. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose that. Fair enough. And a lot of those things bring in the fact of people not being able to get help because they don't know how to siphon through that stuff in order to get to the help, because they think that they have to lose everything. That's not true. I want to catch people before they hit the bottom of the elevator. So we were able to come to people's homes via Zoom, as long as they had a tablet, a phone, or a computer, and talk just like me and you. This is how we do our coaching sessions. And tomorrow is 1 year. I've done over 500 discovery calls in the last year with people all across the world. We've helped people in Australia. We've helped people in UK. I have a large following in UK. We've helped people in the US, all over Canada, Alaska, Hawaii. We've successfully have 37 people so far that have come through programs and sessions. Having 2 people actually get through the whole program and sessions, meaning the whole journey to 90, which is phenomenal to think because we're not even a year old. To have 2 people actually completely change their lives and have a life beyond recovery today, it gives me goosebumps. And the fact that we have different coaches, so it's just not me. Obviously, we have my beautiful girl Ashley, so we have female coaches, and we have Brooke from Sober Biz Babe, who really helped out take what was in here to create it, and Robert Ware, who's a mentor of mine for a very, very long time. When I transitioned out of treatment, I went to second stage, and it was called the Liberty House, and Bob was running it. And Bob was really the second guy that taught me that I could have a life beyond recovery with certain things. And a big one was learning what relapse was. A lot of people don't know what relapse is, so they think that's just using. Well, no, you're actually using before you actually use. So you've mentally relapsed before you actually pick up and use. That's why it's a thinking thing, right?
Yeah.
So I got to live out another dream. I got to live out another dream that I had in 2011 to launch our own program to help people and give them another avenue for long-term recovery via peer-to-peer recovery coaches, because we, lived experience people understand people the best. We just do. I'm not being biased or anything about doctors and psychiatrists and all that stuff, but we just do. When somebody talks to me, I know what they're going through. I just do, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you've done. I've probably done it, so I understand you. So, that was a dream from 2011. And to say that we're going to be celebrating a year tomorrow is crazy to even think.
Yeah, right. So cool, man. Well, congratulations on that. The first thing that comes up, hearing all your accomplishments, the dreams, you're manifesting these things, you're seeing them through. And then there's the other side of that has had like those mental health issues and such. Where in that gap, like where does it register in your head? Like, yeah, this is possible. I'm going to keep doing this. What does that look like as far as your thoughts, correcting your thoughts, turning off that or turning down the, like,
so
the
I just, Yeah, it really stemmed from really practicing the belief in myself. So maybe there was times where I didn't believe in myself 100%, but at least there was that 1% there that said, hey, listen, you still can do this. Um, so it was really a lot of the program's really a lot of mindfulness of breaking patterns, right? So a pattern is I'm going to go do this and I don't care about the repercussions because I'm thinking of myself. Um, right. So I have to break patterns and I have to identify, right? So the biggest thing inside of session one of hyper recovery coaching is identifying. A lot of people don't know how to identify things. And, that is a huge key to identify and be aware of what's going on. So a lot of us get flooded with emotions and feelings. Well, most of us don't even know what emotions and feelings are. So we don't know what's happening to us because we've never felt it before, but we think it's this because we've been told it's this, but it's not even this, right? So really being able to register and never I used to always say never give up, keep living the dream. I said that for years. Um, and if I don't give up, I can always get what I want, which is living the dream. Um, and I can't give up on myself. I can't, like, I don't want to. Maybe there's times where I think I want to, but that's a think I want to. That's not a want to.
Mm.
Um, and it's just the difference between the two and really understanding what words are, right? So really understanding what the verbiage it is you're speaking to yourself. We talk to ourselves the most negative way. It's not even funny, right? Like, so if I can just change my verbiage and change my way that I talk to myself, my mental health is going to be better. I'm going to project and be a different person than what I portray I am in my own mind, which is fear. False evidence appearing real. That's the biggest thing that stops anybody in life from doing anything that they're doing is fear. I don't know, right? The unknown. So what happens is people either live back here, which is preoccupied about spent time. Inside of their mind, they think that they're controlling 1982 when it's 2022, which is not even possible. 1982 is controlling you in 2022. That's why you can't get to 2022. You can't get to the present. You can't get to anything. You can't get to the now because you think in your own mind that 1982 you have it controlled, but it controls you. And people go through life, their whole life like that, where they don't even get a chance to live, right? So understanding that it's now in the present and not living too far in the future, right? So some people just live way out in the future, so far in the future that they they're, which is fine to have, a 6 month, 1 year, 3 year, 6 year, 9 year, 12-year goal, but don't get so far ahead of yourself that you can't see what's going on today. Because you got to sit inside of reality. And sometimes reality is painful. Like, I had to close the business of 6 years. That was painful, right? I lost a lot of money. That's painful. But money can be replaced. It's only paper, right? So I can't replace my life. So I think like the biggest thing is I've never given up on myself, right? I never stopped before the miracle. I've never I just knew that if I could just get through today, I got a chance at a better tomorrow.
Brilliant. I love it. A couple final questions for you. Really appreciate you coming on today, Jay. You got so much going on. It's very inspiring. You talk about like chef recovery, you got the recovery couple, you got the hype recovery coaching. Let's talk about Empower2Recover. It's it's very much of the keynote
Yeah.
variety, a group of you that go around and are doing these speaking engagements. Let's hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so that was another dream of mine in 2013, to put on a live mental health tour. Wasn't really sure how I was going to do it or when it was going to happen. And I just so happened to fall into some amazing people like Brooke and TJ and um, just all the people that are involved. Talon, who's Bionics Babe, um, and I said, let's put together this massive mental health event. And what really triggered it was, Bonnie Henry out in Vancouver saying what she said about abstinence-based program. And also the fact that, I'm a peer-to-peer recovery coach, and everything that I do on my side of the business, I don't get any funding. It's all funded by myself. So the government does not support peer-to-peer recovery coaches. They don't give any funding for that. And then so that's one movement for it. And the fact that abstinence-based programs are viable, and that there is oodles amount of people out there that are recovering from abstinence-based programs. Nothing against harm reduction and nothing against safe supply and nothing against, everything has a place in this world. It's like, if I'm working out, I still have a place and I can go have a Big Mac as long as I don't have 17 Big Macs, right? Like, there's a place for everything. It's the same thing, right? So Empower2Recover is we have a vision to do 10 cities across Canada. We moved the date to May 27th, 2023. Just I want to make sure we're doing this right. This isn't a one and done, and I don't want it to be a one and done. I want it to be, I'm a visionary, so I see long term with it. So we were going to do it November 19th, but we still have the same spot at the Anvil Center in New Westminster. We do have MVP spots where people can get involved from a sponsor level, so platinum, gold, silver, bronze. Also, we have vendor booths. So it's going to be the TEDx of recovery, really is what it's going to be. We're going to have speaker panels. We want to do a picture recovery speaker, so somebody that's never spoke before, to give them a chance. We want to do a picture recovery business, because business is really near and dear to my heart, because I am an entrepreneur. So is Brooke, and Brooke does some phenomenal work. So we want to give a $5,000 scholarship to a business in recovery. And then we want to do a picture recovery singer or band. And we want to make it just full on, showing that you can have fun in recovery. I mean, Mike Manaz is doing some great things when it comes to the Sober Fest that he just pulled off. So is Giuseppe out in BC for Recovery Days. We were part of that. So there is some really fun things, and I think Empower2Recover really fits, really has a spot and as in a place inside of this, to go all across Canada into the US. We do have some people from the US involved as well, so we've already bridged the gap that way. And yeah, you can, like I said, any dream you want. I mean, it's the same thing because we paired nutrition with it as well. So we have a nutrition arm, which is Team Recovery Global, which I thought, hey, why don't I, try and help people in recovery that can't get jobs and get them, amazing nutrition, which comes in liquid form. And why don't we create this atmosphere with these snap packs that are highly absorbable liquid nutrition in a snap pack, and where all you got to do, this is the new one, espresso, but all you got to do is snap it and you get the energy, all GMO free, gluten free, vegan, plant based. Because we know that most of us that come into this thing, I know I wasn't eating healthy. I don't know, crack, booze, and hookers. I don't know where that ranks up on the food chain, but I don't know if that's vegetables, meats, grains, or
Not exactly
any of that stuff. I don't know, but I know that my system and my body is not, or was not, getting the right stuff. And then what I also know is that we jam pack ourselves with carbs when we first come in. So that's why we feel the way we do. So I thought partnering up with OSNAP and John Malott and bringing OSNAP to Canada and introducing it to the recovery world and other people, obviously. It's not just about recovery, because I don't put myself in a box. But I thought to myself, man, what a convenient way to get everything you need, right? Like, I mean,
For sure,
how simple.
yeah. It's amazing.
That's it.
Wow. Super cool.
So we do have a lot of things going on over here in
Yeah, to say the least.
So
Yeah.
what I'm going to say is that you can do anything you want to do in recovery. It just get out of your own way. It happens when it's supposed to happen, and you're always right where you're supposed to be, right? So if you're going to fight the process, you're going to get those results. Yeah. If you don't fight the process, you're going to get massive results.
Boom. That's like the mic drop moment there. Jay, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I want to give you an opportunity. I will have all your many links in the show notes. What's the
Mm.
easiest way to get a hold of you personally if somebody's really resonating with what you say and want to reach out to you?
So they could go to pipecoachj@gmail.com, or you could find me on any social media site. I mean, all you got to do is type my name up. We're everywhere on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Clapper. If you got Clapper, head over there. LinkedIn. I'm not a hard guy to find. I'm also back on the motivational speaker unit. So if they are looking for motivational speakers, I am back speaking again, which is really exciting, bringing the hype to people and hyping them up live. So that's exciting. You can check us out at www.hyperrecoverycoach.com as well, or www.empower2recover.com. That's another place to get us.
Brilliant. Dude, thank you so much for coming on, and it's a pleasure to talk to you and to see what like how much stuff you have going on and that you can keep all of that going with that same mindset of just if you can think it, you can achieve it. So I really appreciate you coming on the show today, my friend.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate you.
For sure.